History is not always made in the roar of cannon fire. Sometimes, it's born in the quiet that follows. After a century of civil war, Japan entered a new era, the Edo period. For over 250 years, from 1603 to 1868, the Tokugawa shoguns ruled, unifying a fractured nation. This was more than a political shift. It was a transformation of culture and identity. The samurai, once warriors, had to find new purpose. Merchants, once lowly, gained wealth and influence. Cities swelled, and a vibrant popular culture blossomed: kabuki, woodblock prints, and the tea ceremony. The Tokugawa sought to create a perfect, unchanging society, building rigid social classes and strict rules, but the human spirit found cracks in the system, pushing through with creativity and quiet defiance. The Edo period built the foundations of modern Japan, shaping what it means to be Japanese. It's a story of balance between community and individual, order and creativity. The legacy is complex, exquisite art and beauty, but also immense social pressure and resistance to change. The story of Edo is not just shoguns and samurai, but farmers, artisans, and merchants. Their struggles and joys forged a nation not in war, but in the slow, steady heat of peace. To understand Japan today, you must understand Edo. It's the story of a society turning inward to find itself. And in that long peace, Japan was forever changed. The story begins in blood at the Battle of Sekigahara in 1600, where Tokugawa Ieyasu seized power. 3 years later, he became shogun, founding a dynasty and establishing Edo as his capital. The shogunate's first decades were about consolidation and control. Laws reigned in the daimyo, and the alternate attendance system forced lords to spend alternate years in Edo draining their resources and keeping them loyal. The Sakoku edicts soon closed Japan's doors, foreigners expelled, Japanese forbidden to leave. Isolation began, and peace held. The 18th century saw the rise of cities like Edo, Osaka, and Kyoto, and a wealthy merchant class. Kabuki theater and ukiyo-e woodblock prints flourished, capturing the pleasures of city life. This was a culture born in the streets, not the castles. But by the 19th century, foreign ships appeared, demanding trade. The arrival of Commodore Perry's black ships in 1853 shattered the peace. The shogunate, built on keeping foreigners out, faced a challenge it couldn't ignore. Perry's cannons forced Japan to open its doors. The long isolation ended. The modern world had arrived. The Edo period's peace was over. Japan stood on the edge of transformation. The Tokugawa shoguns engineered a society of order. The Shinokosho system divided people into 4 classes: samurai, farmers, artisans, and merchants. The emperor was a distant figurehead. Real power lay with the samurai, who became administrators and police. Farmers, the backbone of the nation, toiled under heavy taxes and hardship. Artisans built the material culture of Edo, crafting everything from tea bowls to kimonos. Merchants, officially the lowest class, grew wealthy and influential as the economy expanded. Despite their status, merchants became the engines of urban culture. The rigid hierarchy was meant to ensure peace, but it also stifled ambition and mobility. Each class had its place, and movement between them was nearly impossible. Yet, beneath the surface, the lines blurred as wealth and culture shifted. The system provided stability, but also tension. The Edo order shaped society for generations. It was a world of rules, but also of quiet change. The legacy of this order still echoes in Japan today. Imagine a nation locking itself away from the world. This was Sakoku Japan's closed country policy. From the 1630s, the Tokugawa shogunate chose isolation, fearing foreign influence and Christianity. Foreigners were expelled, Japanese forbidden to travel abroad, and trade limited to a tiny island in Nagasaki. For over 2 centuries, Japan developed in isolation, forging a unique identity. The focus shifted inward, perfecting society and maintaining harmony. Yet, through Dejima, a trickle of Western knowledge, Rangaku, or Dutch studies entered Japan. Scholars learned about science and medicine, planting seeds of change. Isolation preserved peace and culture but left Japan behind in technology. The fortress that protected Japan also became its prison. When foreign powers arrived with modern weapons, the old walls crumbled. The closed country policy shaped Japan's psyche but could not last forever. The world outside was waiting. Peace transformed Japan's cities into centers of art and pleasure. The floating world, ukiyo, emerged in Edo's bustling entertainment districts. Merchants, now wealthy, fueled a vibrant culture of theater, tea houses, and pleasure quarters. Kabuki actors became celebrities, their performances drawing crowds from all classes. Ukiyo woodblock prints captured the spirit of the age portraits of actors, courtesans, and landscapes. Artists like Hokusai and Hiroshige made art for the people, not the elite. The floating world celebrated the fleeting joys of life, embracing beauty in the moment. This urban culture was a revolution from below, colorful and dynamic. While samurai clung to old traditions, commoners created a new cultural identity. Life was transient, unpredictable, and in that, they found beauty. The art and pleasure of Edo still inspire Japan today. The city's energy became the heart of a new Japan. Edo's peace came at a cost freedom. The Tokugawa enforced strict rules, what you wore, where you lived, even where you could travel. Social mobility was nearly impossible. A farmer's son remained a farmer. Farmers, honored in name, were exploited in practice, crushed by taxes and vulnerable to famine. Peasant uprisings were brutally suppressed, their suffering hidden beneath the surface. Samurai, once warriors, became bureaucrats. Many fell into poverty as the economy shifted to money. Some samurai were indebted to merchants they officially despised. Outcasts like the Burakumin were ostracized, forced into separate communities. The rigid order created lines of inclusion and exclusion. Stability depended on everyone accepting their place, no matter how unjust. The peace was real but brittle. Beneath the harmony, resentment simmered. The system's cracks would eventually widen. Edo's order was both a shield and a cage. The cost of peace was high. For 2 centuries, Japan kept the world at bay. But the world changed. In 1853, Commodore Perry's black ships arrived, demanding Japan open its ports. The shogunate faced a crisis: fight and lose, or submit and betray its own ideals. Perry returned with more ships. Japan signed the Convention of Kanagawa, opening to the west. The shogunate's weakness was exposed, sparking political dissent. Powerful domains like Satsuma and Choshu rallied around the slogan, "Revere the Emperor, expel the barbarian." The country fractured, assassinations, clashes, and foreign bombardments followed. The old order crumbled as the shogunate tried and failed to modernize. In 1867, the last shogun resigned, returning power to the emperor. Imperial forces marched on Edo. The long peace was over. Japan faced rapid, wrenching change. The Edo period ended in turmoil. A new era, Meiji, was about to begin. The transformation would be swift and profound. The world had finally come to Japan's door, and nothing would ever be the same. What does it mean for a society to progress? The Edo period forces us to ask. For over 2 centuries, Japan chose stability over change, tradition over innovation. The arts flourished, cities grew, and generations lived in peace. The strict hierarchy kept society in balance, but also stifled ambition and bred resentment. Can any society truly stand still? The world changes, technology advances, and new ideas cross borders. Edo's isolation nurtured unique culture, but left Japan vulnerable. The attempt to freeze time ultimately failed. The challenge? How to embrace the future without erasing the past. Japan's transition to modernity was rapid and often brutal, but it never fully let go of Edo's values. The tension between tradition and change still shapes Japan today. The Tokugawa shogunate is gone, but Edo's legacy endures. Group harmony, craftsmanship, and social consensus remain core values. The great cities Tokyo, Osaka, Kyoto grew from Edo's castle towns. Roads and merchant houses laid the groundwork for modern infrastructure and industry. The floating world's art is now Japan's classical heritage, inspiring artists worldwide. Simplicity and beauty and imperfection, refined in Edo, still shape Japanese design. The end of Edo was not just an end but a transformation. Japan learned to absorb and adapt without losing its core identity. The past lives on in the present in customs, work, and worldview. The long peace of the shoguns is over, but the soul of Edo breathes in modern Japan. The story of Edo is a story of resilience and reinvention. Its quiet legacy shapes Japan's future.